recording.
All right.
We're good.
For those that don't know me, my name is Lou Minardi. I've been diving for about 20 years now. I've been instructing for the last 10, and for about 7 years before that, I've been helping out other instructors within the shop. Over those past years, diving's changed a lot. Dive times, the ascent rates, the way that we do the classes. Back when I started, there wasn't even an online course available. My first course was a live course at State College back in the early 90s. Took the course, never got certified. Didn't have the money back then being a college student. So I took through the course, went through everything, went through all the pool sessions, never did my open water dives, never got certified. A few years later, there was some friends of mine that were going on a cruise, and they were going to go diving. And they says, well, you're going on a cruise with us, why don't you get certified and go diving with us? So I called up the shop around this time of year and said, hey, I'm going on a cruise, can I get certified? And they said, when are you going? I said, November. They said, you realize it's October already? I said, sure. Does that mean anything? I don't know. So I ended up doing my open water dives, and we did our open water dives in the snow. And that's how my career started. All right. One of the things that haven't changed over the years is the compass. The way we teach the compass, everything is pretty simple. When everybody here has done their open water dives, usually you go out on site to an area that an instructor is pretty familiar with. They know the area very well. They don't need to worry about their own navigation. They got it like the back of their hand. They've dove it hundreds of times. So you don't actually even see them navigating through it. It just looks like they know what they're doing and they know where they're going. When you do your open water dives, we come out, you do the navigation dive, we hand everybody compasses. You go out, you do a straight line out, a straight line back, you hand us the compasses back, and most divers never touch a compass ever after that. In the open water course, they teach you how to use the compass, basically how to hold it so that it stays flat, what the lumber line is, the face that has the northeast, southwest on it, and a rotating bezel. They give you a heading to take. They tell you to take the reciprocal of that by subtracting or adding 180 and come back. There's your straight line. We teach you how to use a compass. We let you use it so you can experience it. We give you any tips that we see that you're doing while you're doing it, but we never tell you when you're going to use it. Okay. Most people go a couple years afterwards, and this took me about 2 years to figure out of when and how to use a compass. And it started off with out in Yawk Lake, Confluence Dam. I don't know if everybody knows where that's at. Okay. There's a big beach out there. We do a lot of dives, a lot of certification dives off of that beach. I mean, it is great, perfect visibility 10 days out of the year. The other days it might not be as preferred as we'd like. So you go out there, you go out on the beach, you get everything set up. We take the students out into the water, go into about 20 foot of water, and let them go over and do their skills. You'd be surprised, but while they're out there doing those skills, the new divers actually can stir up the water sometimes. They might actually get turned around. And the great visibility that we had just got a little bit less. After they're done, they're struggling, they're going through their skills, they might needed help, they might needed turned around a little bit. We want to build up their confidence again and take them on a nice little relaxing portion to finish off their dive. Maybe dive along the shoreline, come back to where we started, and then shoot into the shore. Well, when you're out there and you have a big cloud of silt all around you, after you're done helping them, going around them, keeping them safe, getting them to go through all their skills, taking their weight belt off, their BC back on, and you want to dive along the shoreline and come back. Which way is the shoreline? I don't know. But every time I'm out there, an instructor would go and they'd lead and go straight down the area, come right back. It's like they knew what they were doing, so I just followed. Kept any stragglers come back through, and that was it. The simplest that I use when I'm diving is not to stare at your compass while you're diving, but to use it for about 10 seconds. And that's all this course is, to use your compass on every dive. You might be using it 10 to 15 seconds per dive. And it's as simple as, everybody know how to use a compass? The lumber line, direction that you travel. the rotating bezel, and you can read north, south, east, west, little sight window, you can look into it. That's pretty simple. That's also gets taught to you in your open water class. Once I come down to the shoreline of the beach, after I get my gear on, I walk up to the edge of the beach. I point my lumber line parallel with the shoreline. Wherever north is at, I rotate the bezel so that the double hash mark at 0 degrees is right on the north. Then I forget about it. Then I go out and dive. After we're diving, and everybody goes through and does their skills, okay, I'm going to take them along the shoreline and come back. So we're checking everybody's air, make sure everybody's air is good after they're done doing all their skills. I go in, I pull out my gauge, which is usually on a console like this. Check my own air also. And all I do is take my compass, turn until the north is right at that 0 double tick mark. And I know that's the direction I'm going to dive. Even though I'm in a cloud of silt where I can't see anything, all that took was, when I started the dive, 10 seconds. Looked down here, turned this to north, forgot about it. Went out there, did my dive. While we were out there, I went down, decided, okay, let's take them, let's build their confidence up, let's go get them on a nice relaxing dive so that they can enjoy the first dive, at least part of it. Dive the angle with that being at 0. Once I get down to the other end, now I'm going to come back. I turn around, put the double hash mark at south, and come right back the same reciprocal direction. It's that simple. You can do that on every single dive, and it's really a 10-second trick. I mean, 5 seconds at the beginning of the dive, and you might look at it 2 or 3 times throughout the dive. Nothing major, no life-changing event, but I do that on almost every single dive that I go on. We go through, and while I'm diving, I have mine on the console. So if I'm looking at my air pressure, I can check my compass and see if we're still on course, going the same direction. I'm not holding it and staring at it the whole time I'm diving. That's not fun, that's not enjoyable, that's not what we're here for. So I just go out and do that. We do a straight line out and a straight line back in your open water course. If we're talking about confluence, after they're doing their skills for their open water dive, when we're done, we're just doing a straight line parallel to the shore and a straight line back. Exactly what we taught you, but we never tell you that's when you're going to use it. Another example would be the advanced course. We usually do like a triangle, a square, kind of trying to break away from that and change it up a little bit. But where would you use that? Okay, let's go. We're diving at a beach in Pennsylvania. Let's go to a beach in the ocean. We're doing a shore dive on a beach in the ocean. We're going to go down to the sandy beach. When we first get there, we might go parallel, or we can go perpendicular to the beach, rotate the bezel so that it's right on north, and that's going to be straight out from the shore. Okay? Hook this back on, start diving. Maybe swim straight out, maybe 10-15 minutes. Now, if I want to, I'm going to check my air while I'm diving. So every time I check my air, I can look and see if I'm close to being on course. Get out there. Once we get out there, let's turn and go down along the shoreline. Okay. If we line this up at north and south when we start, if we turn 90 degrees, these 2 points are going to be at east and west. So you're out there, you can't see the shore from where you're at. You just take this, you turn till it lines up on east and west, go that way. Swim for another 15-20 minutes. After you're done with that, you're going to come back and finish up your dive closer to the shore. Turn another 90 degrees. You're going to line it up opposite of what you did when you started. Instead of the north being at the double tick mark on the rotating bezel, the south will be there. It'll take you right back to the shore. Okay? That's your advanced diver course. They make you do a square. We just did 3 sides of a square. When you do the course, a lot of times we'll give you a heading, a degree mark heading, and we'll tell you to add or subtract 180 degrees to get your return heading, or add 90 degrees to find out your angle when you turn. I don't like doing math. I just use the north, south, east, west if I have a heading that I want to start, and I see, like right now, this is set for 150, so 330 is my reciprocal. I just look straight across the lumber line, and the math is right there. You don't have to do any of the math. You don't have to write down any numbers. When I started diving and I started using a compass and I was trying to learn how to use a compass, I would have a slate, or I'd have a compass similar to this with a slate on the bottom of it. And I'd write down my degree headings, when I start, where I'm going, all that. That's too much work. I don't like doing that. I'm lazy. I'll just go straight up. As simple as I can. Set it, forget it, go dive. When you need it, look at it. Make sense? Okay. Let's go to another little example here. This is my favorite example. The wreck dive. Say we're doing a wreck dive in Lake Erie, okay? The schooner ships that you dive on out there, they can be anywhere from 60 foot long to 460 foot long. The decks range from around 25 to around 50 foot wide on the deck. You go out there, there's going to be a mooring line coming off of the back of the ship. Boat's going to tie off to that mooring line. Everybody's going to get in the water, they're going to drop down the mooring line. I was a cocky diver. I knew how to dive. I'm really good at navigation, being aware of my surroundings, looking at everything. I knew what I was doing. So I come down. When I get along the side of the ship, we're going to keep the ship on our left side. We're going to dive to the 1/3 mark on our air. We're going to turn around, do the same route back, and then ascend with the remaining 1/3. Simple, it's basic diving. We drop down to the edge of the ship. We're going to keep the ship on our left side. And we're just going to slowly start swimming right along this. There's cannons on this side and this side. I'm going to swim right along these cannons the whole way, keeping them on my left side, looking at the ship, looking to see what's below it, what's on top of it. We get down to the middle of it. I'm a cable guy, I go up and down telephone poles every day. Telephone poles are around 6 inches to about 16 inches that I climb. When I get to the center mast of this ship, I'm amazed. This thing is 3 foot in diameter, okay? So you see all the telephone poles that you drive past every single day? This thing is huge, okay? Get a little bit excited about it. You're going down on this ship. First of all, the ship looks like it's straight out of the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's actually preserved a lot better than what this one looks like. That came out of a fish tank. But you see the middle of this mast, and it's huge. You're like, okay, call your buddy over. Let's go look at this thing. We go around, we swim around this center mast, getting on all sides of it. Because I mean, something that big, you can't even see on the other side of it. First thing I want to get my picture next to this thing. It's huge. So I get the GoPro, get the iPhone case, whatever, get all our pictures and everything. We look down, we see a sword on there. We might see the big crisscross wooden grate cover for the hull, where all the equipment's down in there, or the supplies that they had. I mean, you swim over top of it, you can shine your light down in there and see what's in there. I mean, hopefully you just find a treasure chest or something along those lines. And then after you're all excited and everything, you got all your pictures done and everything, you're going to continue diving. So we come out to the side of the ship right over here, and we continue diving, keeping the ship to our left side the whole way. We continue down this side of the ship until we get to 1/3 of our air. We turn around, we swim back at 1/3 and keep going the whole way down, keeping the ship on our right side at this point until we find the upline and do our ascent. Our upline's down here. If I keep going down this way, I'm never going to find the upline. Okay? Simple mistake. When I started, if I'd have went and took a basic compass reading, set the direction we were going, rotated the bezel to north and south, when I'm going down through here, after I see and got excited on everything in the middle, when I came off the deck and I started on the other side, and I go to check my air before I start, I'd have seen that, you know what, we were heading where the 0 hash mark was at north, now it's at south. So you think about it, and you're like, okay, we came off the wrong side of the ship. And then I'd say, okay, oops, we made a mistake, let's swim over top to the deck, go back to the other side and continue our dive. I mean, unfortunately, this is the embarrassing part of the story, is this is a real life scenario. That's exactly what I did. I mean, for the exact same reason, everything but the sword is true. I mean,
see, if you would have said it was true, we would have believed you.
But I came down through, went the whole way back. My dive buddy that was with me was George McFarland's brother, actually. And we didn't find the upline. So at that point, used our skills, did what we were supposed to, released our SMB, and did a free ascent like we were taught. Okay? The only difference and the only bad part about the whole story, because nothing happened really, except for the upline was right here. On top of the upline, the boat was anchored off on it. We did our ascent up here. Once we came up to the surface, we had to do that little swim of shame. Okay. On what would have took 10 seconds to do, using your compass on every single dive, 10 seconds. It's a 10-second tip. And unfortunately, that tip, it took me probably 2 years to figure it out. I didn't know about it. I didn't think about it. Never realized that that's how you're going to use a compass on a regular basis. I mean, there's plenty of other reasons you can use a compass, but that is about the simplest. It takes 5 seconds to do at the beginning of the dive. Some of the other places that we dive at. What's another location that we dive at locally here? Blue Hole. There's two different sides of it, two different entry points. One's at the north side, one's at the south side, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You're underwater. You're going from line to line to line, following the lines and the objects underwater. You're just out there diving, having fun. When you started, you marked your compass, the general direction, because it's an oval shaped, that you're going to be traveling. After you're done diving, you're going to come back. You want to finish your dive back where you started from. So you can turn around, you can start following the lines backwards. There's going to be lines that go off this way, there's going to be lines that go off that way. As you're coming to those lines, you just want to make sure you're going the right direction back and you don't end up at the wrong side of the quarry. Look at your compass, figure out which way was south to get you back to the south starting point, and that's it.
Super easy.
It's like, there's nothing to it. I mean, this is the
Our
simplest.
experience was definitely just like that.
My hand still hurts.
What about crusties? Everybody's dove crusties here, right? Most everybody? Okay. Crusties, you circle the outside of the quarry, the little fishbowl that's in there. Anybody ever go into the fishbowl and can't find their way back out?
Gotta look for the fire hydrant.
Yep. If you
I think
find
I
the fire
circled a
hydrant, you're
couple
good.
times.
Or after you circle a couple times.
This circle got bigger.
It all looks the same.
Peek at your compass 1 second before you go in would be one way to do it.
And your depth.
And your depth, exactly. That depth is how you find the fire hydrant. When everybody was doing their full face class down there, I was late getting out there, so I went,
Scared the crap out of me.
seen everybody's bubbles, set my compass to where the bubbles were, which was perpendicular from the dock, and forgot about it. Went underwater, swam underwater until I found everybody. Just kept the general direction of where I was going, right through there. As we did the rest of the dives, we'd go to a location, we'd scoot in, see what was there, come right back. Say you're out there and you go out there to practice a lot. And you're going out there and you're working on your air consumption, your buoyancy, you've been working on it, practicing on it like crazy. You start circling the outside of the quarry. You get about 1/3 the way through the quarry and you see you're getting low on air. You can surface, see where you're at, swim back or go back down and swim back. That's not too fun. You're wasting your time, wasting your air going up and down. You can look at it and see, okay, well, if I line this up to where I started, I'm still on that side of the shore, so I might as well turn back and come back the way I came, swim the whole way back, end up right where you started. Or you went and worked your way the whole way around the quarry. You started getting on the other side of the quarry. Longest dive you've ever did. You're down to about like 120 minutes underwater with one tank. At that point, you're like, okay, I'm getting low and everything, I guess I have to start heading back at this point. Surface, stop your record, and go back down and finish your dive, or look at your compass, line up to where you're supposed to. Okay, I must be on the opposite shore from where I started. Let's get a little bit more dive. We'll go in and let's dive straight across the quarry underwater. And all that was a 10-second, set your compass before you started, forget about it. When you need it, look at it just for a reference. And that's all it is, to keep your awareness of your general location when you're diving. Nothing, no brain surgery, no major thing. And it works for any of the places. It works if you're at Gilboa. We used to go out to Gilboa non-stop. I mean, Gilboa is memorized like it's my backyard. When you're out there, last time we were out there, I had my son out there, and we did the night dive. When you're over on the far right side, it's pretty desolate over there. And I wanted him to try to find his way back. And I went and showed him where out on the compass, and left him try to navigate his own way back at night. Something as simple as setting it at the beginning, showing it to him, asking him which way we go, and had him point to it. Pretty straightforward. Questions?
So you run your lubber line parallel to the shore or perpendicular?
Depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I'm going at Krusty's, I'd go perpendicular.
Okay.
Because I want to find out all I care about is the two different sides of the quarry. Okay? If I'm on that side of the quarry, I'm going to swim across. If I'm on the side of the quarry that I started, I'm going to swim back the direction I was at. So if I'm at Krusty's, I'm going to set it perpendicular. If I'm up at Confluence where the beach is, my dive that I'm going to plan on doing is going to go parallel with the beach. After that dive, and everybody has everything stirred up, if I start swimming a direction, if I go towards the shore, eventually I'm going to see the ground come up to me, and I'll know I went the wrong way. If I go the other direction, I'm out in the boat traffic, and I don't even know that I'm out there. And if I go either of the other two directions, I don't know if I'm at some combination or if I'm going upstream or downstream in the lake. The lake does have a little bit of a current there. And not enough to notice it, but just the fact that it is towards the dam or away from the dam, basically. And I usually want to go away from the dam because there's more things to see down on that end. So that's where I'll use my compass there. Since I'm diving parallel across there, all we're going to do is start off. You have a beach there, so you get to walk backwards into the beach, get to experience a shore entry on a sandy beach in the great tropical destination of Pennsylvania. And once we get out there, we'll go straight out until we're in about 15, 20 foot of water and start our skills. So that one there, I'm going to go parallel because that's the direction that I'm mainly concerned about when I'm diving. And it doesn't matter. If you're on Blue Hole, you're going to go from one exit to the other. And when you start at that exit, you can point there and go one to the other, and that's going to be your line, the direction you want to travel. If you're low on air and you want to try to get back and you don't have time to zigzag all through the ropes, you can go straight there. It's not that big of a deal. It's a simple concept. It's just, if nobody tells it to you, you're not going to know it. And I mean, during open water, we teach you how to use a compass. There's all the different tricks and everything that you want to use, like making sure that you hold it flat. The cheaper compasses, like this compass here, I can tilt it pretty far and it's still going to rotate on me the whole time. Other compasses, like for example this one here, if I tilt it that far, it's going to get stuck as I'm going around and not rotate as easy. Okay, so you can get it with different quality levels. The shop can sell you one for roughly
$500.
There's all different little tricks. There's different tricks when you're holding it for navigation, everything. This really ain't about that. These are just short education nights to help people out. And that's one of the tips, the shortest tip that I could think of that took me a long time to figure out, because like I said, the class, they teach you how to use it, the functions of the compass. They let you do a straight line. The next level, you do the triangle, the square, or a version of it, but we're still not telling you when to use it on every single dive. Half the people, they go out there, we hand them the compass, they do their dive. When they come back in, they come back, they buy a set of gear off the dive shop, they don't buy a compass. They never use a compass from that point. If we go and do the advanced class, we'll hand them a compass, they'll do their advanced class dive, and they'll give the compass back. Then they go out diving a few times, they get lost. Once they get lost, they get turned around, then they come to the shop and buy a compass for $500. Then they take the compass out there, they leave it on the side of their gear, and they still don't use it. Because nobody's told them when to use it. Okay? And it's funny though, because I mean, I looked through a bunch of online YouTube videos and everything else before I came here. There's not really one video I found that broke it down to that simple of when you use it. Every video shows you how to use a compass, how to hold it level. The difference is, like on this one here, the sight window's right here. It's a little bit of an angle when I'm holding it out. Okay, being as it's a little bit of an up angle when I'm going like this, as I'm swimming, by natural, I kind of start going up. So I got to keep an eye on my depth as I'm doing it also. There's, this has a retractor on it. So if it's on here, it might pull me this way a little bit as I'm diving. Mine's on another lead that comes out further, so, but either which way, the pulling of the retractor, if it's hooked on your right side or your left side, will get you to go one side or the other if you're not paying attention. There's tons of videos online that tell you how to use a compass. And that's great. They can use them for going from point A to point B. If you want to try to do a straight line, like this isn't about doing the straight line. When we're the beach and we're going parallel to the beach, I might look up, see a mark that I see up maybe 20 feet if I'm lucky. Look at my compass, see that mark, put it down, swim to that mark for 20 feet. Go, check it again, do the next one, so on and so forth. Or every time I check my air, just double check the direction as I'm diving. Not gonna stare at it, don't wanna stare at it the whole time I'm diving. And there's tons of videos that'll teach you all those tricks on using the compass. Tricks on how to navigate with a compass. They don't teach you how to use that compass on almost every single dive. I mean, all the locations that we went to, I mean, when's the last time you used a compass at Gilboa?
Yeah, I don't, other than class stuff, I don't use it.
Right.
Just
I mean,
because it's memorized.
yeah, I mean, you go out an area and you're going to an area. I mean, when I started diving, I did a bunch of tropical dives when I first started. Then I realized I can't afford to keep this up. So that's when I went and met up with the other instructors and started helping them out as much as I can, because that kept me in the water, kept me diving. Every place that we went to, they dove hundreds of times. They know those areas like the back of their hand. Well, I'm going out there helping them with every single student. Okay, I've dove those areas hundreds of times now too. I don't need a compass for any of that. At Confluence, I've got turned around a few times up there and that. And the main instructor that liked that area the best, if you got turned around, he liked teasing you about it too. I mean, that was common and everything. I didn't like to get teased on that. I liked to show off a little bit. And then once I figured that out, it was like, boom, a light bulb clicked. I mean, this is that simple. I mean, there's nothing else to it but set it, forget it, look at it when you need it.
Yeah.
Thoughts, questions? I mean, it's straightforward.
Can't wait to show you off the skills here.
That and don't hold your compass on the same hand as your computer sometimes.
What about a digital compass? Digital compass doesn't have the rotating bezel.
No.
Okay. I do like a manual compass a lot better than a digital compass, but I believe like the sheer water, you can go ahead and when you first get there, you can set your heading
You can tag, yeah.
and you can record it.
And then it keeps north on the
Right.
arrow.
And then if you're in the middle of a dive and you want to see where you were when you started, just turn around till it lights up green and you got that location. So I mean, you still can do it on a digital compass, but don't forget the digital compasses, you got to keep them calibrated. You got to spin around 3 times, lift up your left foot, and
Hop.
yep.
If you change locations, you need to recalibrate too.
Really?
And if you change your battery, you need to recalibrate. Yeah. The different strength of the AA battery that's in it will throw it off, and if you change your locations, it'll also throw it off.
And for any of the compass, when you're diving next to a schooner ship like this, there's no troubles. If you're diving next to a big metal ship, then you might want to keep that in mind. That will deviate you a little bit.
You want to watch too how you have your compass mounted, because if you do have metal screws underneath your compass, or if you, like even that one with the ring on the end may throw it off, depends on what it's made of. but
Now this one here, this one is just a regular clip-on, but you can also take this one apart, and there's no metal whatsoever, but you can get rid of this part and clip it right onto a hose. So if you don't have a console like this that it mounts to, you could actually hook it right onto here on the hose. There's all different options, 1,000 different compasses you can buy. Don't be too cheap on it.